Have you ever felt completely alone? Not because there was nobody around you, but because nobody truly understood your heart. You smile when people expect you to smile. You answer messages, you go to work, you show up for your responsibilities. And from the outside, everything looks normal. But deep down, you feel disconnected, carrying a weight nobody else can see. And perhaps the hardest part is this. You keep asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? Why this loneliness? Why do I feel so isolated when everyone else seems happy? But what if your loneliness isn't a punishment at all? What if it's preparation? What if this season isn't happening to destroy you, but to build the person you're destined to become? Stay with me until the end, because the way you see your loneliness today may completely change after this message. Most people believe loneliness means something is missing. A relationship, a friendship, a community, or a sense of belonging. And sometimes that's true. But many people spend years trying to fill an internal emptiness with external things. More attention, more validation, more distractions, more noise. Yet somehow, the deep emptiness always remains the same. Because some forms of loneliness were never meant to be solved by people. They were meant to bring you closer to God. Think about it. When life is comfortable, when everyone is around, and when everything is going your way, how often do you reflect? How often do people pause and question their purpose? How often do they search for something truly deeper? Usually they don't, because comfort is loud, but transformation is always quiet. And sometimes God removes all the noise. He removes the noise around you so you can finally hear the truth within you. The truth you've been avoiding. The questions you've been running from. The true purpose you've been way too distracted to discover until now. That's why some of the most important chapters of life begin in solitude. Not because you're completely abandoned, but because you're being prepared. Prepared for wisdom. Prepared for growth. Prepared for a future version of yourself. And every single great transformation begins exactly the same way. It always begins in complete silence. Sometimes the greatest work God does is the work nobody else can see. Just look at a tiny seed. The moment it's planted, nothing appears to happen. Days pass, weeks pass. The ground looks exactly the same. If someone judged only by what they could see, they would assume the seed is completely dead under the ground. But underneath the surface, life is forming. Roots are growing deeper. Strength is being built every day. A foundation is taking shape. Because before a tree can rise toward the sky, it must first grow where nobody watches. Your life often follows the same pattern. There are seasons when it feels like everyone else is moving forward while you're standing still. Friends are getting married. Others are building successful careers and lives. Some seem to achieve everything you've been praying for. And you begin asking yourself, what about me? Did God forget me? But comparison has a dangerous habit. It makes you judge your private preparation. You judge your private preparation against someone else's public results. You never see the years they struggled. You never see the nights they cried. You never see the heavy sacrifices they made. You only see the outcome. God isn't writing the same story for everyone. Some people bloom early, others bloom later in life. Neither is better. Both happen exactly when they're meant to. The problem is, we often mistake delay for denial, but they are not the same. Sometimes God delays something because your character isn't ready for the blessing. A blessing received too early can easily become a heavy burden instead of a beautiful gift in your life. Would you hand the keys to a powerful car to someone who has never learned how to drive? Of course not. Not because you want to punish them, but because you want to protect them from danger. Sometimes God's not yet is mercy. And while you think nothing is happening, He is strengthening your patience, teaching your heart, and removing pride. Building wisdom, healing wounds you don't even realize you're carrying deep inside your soul right now. Because the greatest blessing isn't simply receiving what you prayed for, it's becoming the person who can carry it. Loneliness often becomes the sacred classroom where God teaches deep lessons that noise never could. In the silence, you begin to discover your real identity. Not the identity built on likes or followers, not built on compliments or public approval, but the identity that remains even when nobody is applauding you. That is the unique kind of internal strength that no one on this earth can ever take away from you. There is something beautiful about the way God works. He often prepares people in private before the public. The world celebrates what everyone can see, but God transforms people where absolutely no one is looking. Maybe that's where you are today. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are just being prepared. One day you'll look back on this lonely season and realize it wasn't empty at all. It was deeply sacred. Because this was the season that taught you patience when nothing was changing around you. It taught you true faith when you couldn't see the future, and strength when no one was standing beside you. And it taught you ultimate trust when all you had left was God. Remember this truth today. The strongest hearts are rarely built in moments of comfort. They are built in quiet, lonely nights. Built through unanswered prayers, hidden tears, and lonely walks that only God witnessed in secret. So if you've been crying in silence, don't believe those tears are meaningless. God counts every one of them. If you've been waiting, don't assume heaven is ignoring you. Sometimes the answer isn't delayed because he doesn't care. It's delayed because he's preparing something greater than you can ever imagine or dream of. Your loneliness is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a deeper relationship with your Creator. It's the place where your purpose grows deep roots. It's where your character becomes stronger than circumstances. And one day, the pain you're surviving today will become the hope someone else desperately needs tomorrow. That's how God works. He turns wounded hearts into healing voices and broken seasons into powerful testimonies. So don't run from this difficult season. Grow through it, pray through it, and trust through it completely. Because when God's timing finally arrives, you'll understand perfectly why nothing happened any sooner. And you'll thank him for every door he kept closed and for every delay that protected your soul. For every single lonely night that quietly shaped the beautiful person you are fast becoming. Maybe today you still feel completely alone, but after this moment, I pray you never feel forgotten. Because the God who created your heart has never, ever stopped watching over it in love. If this message spoke to your heart today, write these words in the comments. God is preparing me. Your words may become the exact encouragement someone else needs desperately on this very day. And if you believe this can bring hope, share it with someone silently carrying the weight of loneliness. Because sometimes just one single message can change a person's life forever. Trust the process.